Have you ever wondered how different your life could look in just 21 days if you gave yourself fully to change? Not someday, not next month, not when the timing feels right, but starting right now. Think about it. 3 short weeks. That's less time than a single season of your favorite show, less time than it takes for most people to break a simple habit. Yet, in that small window, you hold the power to reshape your mind, your body, and your future. The truth is, most people underestimate what they can do in such a short time, but they also overestimate how much time they have left to waste. The clock is always ticking, and every moment spent waiting is a moment you never get back. Right now, you may be standing at a crossroads. Maybe you've been stuck in routines that no longer serve you. Maybe you've been carrying dreams that feel heavy because you've delayed them again and again. Or maybe you've told yourself you'll start when things calm down, when you feel ready, when circumstances are better. But deep inside, you know there is no perfect time. The perfect time never arrives because the perfect time is created. And the truth is, you don't need to wait another year, another month, or even another week. You can start the transformation of your entire life today. And the first 20 to 1 days are the spark that changes everything. Science tells us it takes consistent action, repeated daily, to rewire the brain and create lasting change. Your habits shape your destiny. Your routines decide your results. And in just 3 weeks of focused effort, your brain can begin building new pathways, your body can adapt to new rhythms, and your heart can open to a new vision of what's possible. Imagine waking up every morning knowing you are no longer the same person you were yesterday. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing strength where there was doubt, confidence where there was hesitation, progress where there was stagnation. That is what this 21-day success plan can ignite for you. But here's the most important part. You are not doing this for the next 3 weeks alone. You are doing it because once you prove to yourself that change is possible in such a short time, you will never again believe the lie that you are powerless. You will never again settle for excuses because you will know firsthand that growth is a choice and that you have the ability to make that choice every single day. 21 days becomes a foundation, a launch pad, a signal to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. Stay with me. Because by the end of this journey, you will walk away with not only a plan, but a fire inside you. A fire that cannot be extinguished by fear, doubt, or setbacks. If you've been waiting for permission, if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. These next few minutes will give you the roadmap to begin a transformation that can ripple through every area of your life. Your energy, your focus, your confidence, your future, all of it can change starting today, starting with you, starting with 21 days. And if you commit, if you stay the course, you will not only see results, you will feel unstoppable. Change does not begin with a massive leap. It begins with a single decision, one small choice that declares to yourself, I will no longer accept the life I've been settling for. That decision, repeated consistently, carries more power than any burst of temporary motivation. When you choose to act with intention every day, no matter how small the step may seem, you begin to rewrite the story of who you are. You begin to shift from someone who waits, who doubts, who postpones, into someone who acts, who builds, who becomes. Think about it. Every day you wake up, you are either reinforcing the same patterns that hold you back or creating new ones that set you free. There is no in-between. Your actions are votes cast for the person you wish to be. When you wake up early instead of hitting snooze, you cast a vote for discipline. When you choose water over soda, you cast a vote for health. When you open a book instead of scrolling endlessly, you cast a vote for growth. None of these actions alone will transform you overnight, but together, stacked one on top of another, they create an unshakable foundation for success. Psychologists call this the compound effect of habits. Small, consistent changes don't just add up, they multiply, creating momentum that is almost impossible to stop. And here lies the secret. Once you prove to yourself that you can stick to a plan for 21 days, the resistance that once felt overwhelming begins to lose its grip. The brain craves consistency. It seeks patterns. When you feed it a new, empowering pattern for 3 weeks straight, you're not just forming a habit. You're reshaping your identity. You stop telling yourself, I'm someone who wants to change, and you begin living as, I am someone who is changing. That shift in identity is where true transformation begins. But there will be resistance. There will be moments when your mind whispers that it's easier to quit, easier to stay the same, easier to push your goals to another day. This is where you must remember why you started. Pain is the silent signal of a life unlived, and regret weighs more heavily than the temporary discomfort of discipline. The question is not whether challenges will come. They always do. The question is whether you will rise to meet them or shrink back into the old version of yourself. Every challenge is an invitation to grow stronger, to prove that your future matters more than your excuses. Picture yourself 21 days from now, standing taller, clearer, and more confident. Not because life suddenly became easier, but because you decided you were worth the effort. You decided your dreams were worth the fight. You decided that a stronger, wiser, more powerful version of yourself deserved to emerge. The reward waiting for you on the other side is not just a change in your routine. It's a change in your belief, your energy, your destiny. This is why you must keep going. This is why you cannot afford to delay. Every day of action builds momentum, and momentum builds transformation. Each morning you rise with intention. Each evening you close your eyes, knowing you stayed true. You carve a path toward a life that once felt distant, but is now within reach. Your 21 days are not just about forming habits. They are about proving to yourself that you can become unstoppable. And once you see what's possible, you will never again settle for less. Discipline is not about punishment. It is about freedom. Freedom from the chaos of procrastination. Freedom from the weight of regret. Freedom from the endless cycle of starting and stopping. When you build discipline, you take back control from the impulses and distractions that once dictated your life. You begin to live on your terms, with clarity and strength guiding your actions instead of excuses and doubt. This is the essence of your 21-day journey. It is not about doing more, it is about becoming more. Your mind is powerful, but it can be your greatest ally or your greatest enemy. Left unchecked, it will pull you toward comfort, distraction, and safety. But trained, sharpened, and focused, it becomes your weapon for success. Every time you resist the urge to give up, every time you choose consistency over comfort, you strengthen the mental muscle that will carry you to your goals. Psychologists call this self-efficacy, the belief that you can handle challenges and create outcomes. The stronger this belief becomes, the more unstoppable you feel. And nothing builds self-efficacy faster than proving to yourself day after day that you can follow through. Imagine waking up in the morning and knowing with absolute certainty that you will keep the promises you made to yourself. No hesitation, no inner argument, no negotiation with your excuses. Just action. That is the power of discipline practiced over 21 days. It rewires the way you see yourself. You stop doubting, you stop waiting, and you start embodying the person you have always wanted to be. That inner alignment between who you want to be and how you actually act creates a surge of confidence that no one can take from you. Yes, there will be days when you feel tired. There will be moments when your emotions try to convince you to take it easy. But emotions are temporary and discipline is permanent. The people who achieve greatness are not those who always feel motivated, but those who act despite their emotions. They act when it's inconvenient. They act when no one is watching. They act when it would be easier not to. That is how they separate themselves from the crowd. That is how they build a life that others admire, but few are willing to work for. Every time you choose discipline, you are choosing your future over your comfort. You are casting a vote for the life you desire instead of the life you fear. And here's the truth. Those choices compound faster than you realize. 21 days of discipline will not only shift your habits, it will elevate your energy, sharpen your focus, and fuel your momentum. It will begin to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. So hold on tightly to this truth. Discipline is love for yourself expressed through action. It is the daily declaration that you are worthy of effort, worthy of change, worthy of success. And once you feel the strength that discipline gives you, once you experience the freedom it creates, you will never want to live without it again. This is the foundation on which transformation is built, and it is the gift you give yourself when you commit fully to 21 days of unstoppable growth. Clarity is the fuel that gives discipline direction. Without clarity, discipline turns into routine without purpose, and routine without purpose eventually collapses. To transform in 21 days, you must know exactly what you are working toward. You cannot fight the resistance if you have no vision pulling you forward. The mind needs a target, the heart needs a reason, and the spirit needs a cause worth fighting for. When you define that with honesty and precision, every action you take gains meaning. Every sacrifice feels worthwhile, and every day becomes a step toward a future you can see vividly in your imagination. Most people drift through life without clarity. They wake up reacting to circumstances, pulled by obligations, trapped in cycles they never consciously chose. They feel tired, unfocused, and unfulfilled. Not because they lack ability, but because they lack a clear picture of where they want to go. Clarity changes that instantly. When your vision is sharp, your energy rises. When your why is strong, your excuses weaken. When you know exactly what you're building, the struggle becomes exciting because you understand it is shaping you into the person who can carry that vision. Clarity is not about having a perfect plan. It is about defining what truly matters. Ask yourself, what do I want my life to look like 21 days from now? Not in vague terms, but in specifics. Do I want to feel more energized, more focused, more confident? Do I want to break free from a cycle that's been holding me back? Do I want to start becoming the person I've always known I could be? When you answer these questions honestly, you create a North Star, a guide that pulls you forward even when resistance tries to push you back. Psychology shows us that the human brain is wired to seek goals that are concrete and measurable. Abstract desires fade quickly, but precise goals create motivation that lasts. When you can picture yourself achieving something, when you can measure your progress day by day, your brain releases dopamine, reinforcing the behavior and making it easier to continue. This is why clarity is so powerful. It turns hope into action and action into momentum. But clarity is not only about goals, it is about values. It is about asking yourself, who do I want to be? Because transformation is not just about what you achieve, it is about who you become. Do you want to become someone who lives with discipline, who follows through, who inspires others through action? Or do you want to remain trapped in hesitation, waiting for life to change without you? Clarity forces you to decide. It holds up a mirror and demands that you choose between who you are now and who you are capable of becoming. Once you have that clarity, the 21 days ahead become sacred. Each day becomes proof that you are serious about your future. Each decision aligns you with your vision. Each small victory builds evidence that you are on the path you've chosen. And the deeper your clarity, the stronger your conviction becomes. When your mind doubts, your vision reminds you why. When your body resists, your values remind you how. When the world distracts, your clarity pulls you back to the mission. With clarity, you no longer stumble through change. You walk with certainty. And when certainty meets discipline, transformation is inevitable. This is where the power of your 21-day journey begins to take root, turning dreams into direction and direction into destiny. Energy is the lifeblood of transformation. Without energy, even the clearest vision and the strongest discipline will eventually collapse under exhaustion. But with energy, your actions gain force, your focus sharpens, and your motivation sustains itself. Energy is not something you wait for, it is something you create. And in these 21 days, your responsibility is to fuel yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally so that every step forward has the strength it needs to last. Your body is the vehicle that carries your dreams, yet so often it is neglected in the pursuit of success. When you nourish it poorly, when you deny it rest, when you treat it like an afterthought, you drain the very power you need to change. But when you care for it with intention, when you give it movement, hydration, and fuel that supports growth, it rewards you with clarity, drive, and vitality. This is not about perfection. It is about honoring your body as an ally in your transformation. A strong body supports a strong mind, and together they create unstoppable momentum. Your energy is also determined by the thoughts you feed yourself. Negative thinking is like a slow leak, draining power until nothing is left to give. Every time you replay fears, doubts, or regrets, you steal energy from your present. But every time you choose empowering thoughts, every time you remind yourself of your vision, every time you speak with conviction about what is possible, you create energy that fuels your journey forward. This is not wishful thinking. It is neuroscience. Thoughts trigger emotions, emotions drive action, and action reinforces identity. When your thoughts are aligned with your vision, they ignite the emotional energy required to keep moving when obstacles appear. Emotional energy is the hidden force behind persistence. If you are only chasing results, your energy will fade when progress feels slow. But when you tie your actions to something deeper, your values, your loved ones, your legacy, you create a source of emotional energy that does not run out. This is why clarity is so important. It gives your emotions a reason to burn. When you know why you're doing this, you can endure almost anyhow. The secret to sustaining energy is rhythm. Just as a heartbeat fuels the body with consistent beats, your success depends on consistent cycles of work and renewal. Push too hard without rest and you break. Rest too long without action and you stagnate. But balance the two and you create endurance. The most powerful people are not those who sprint and collapse. They are those who find a rhythm they can sustain for life. Your 21 days are not about burning out. They are about learning to generate steady energy day after day until success becomes natural. Picture yourself fueled with energy each morning, no longer dragging yourself into the day, but rising with strength and clarity. Imagine facing challenges, not with exhaustion, but with a deep reserve of power that keeps you steady. That is what happens when you align your body, your thoughts, and your emotions with your vision. You stop running on empty and you start running on purpose. And when you live with energy, transformation is no longer a struggle, it becomes a flow. This is how you carry your 21-day commitment into lasting change with energy that lifts you higher each day. Focus is the bridge between energy and results. Without focus, energy scatters. It gets pulled in 1,000 directions, wasted on distractions that feel urgent but mean nothing. With focus, even limited energy becomes powerful, cutting through obstacles and driving you forward like a sharpened blade. Focus is not something you find, it is something you train. It begins by refusing to let the noise of the world dictate your attention and instead choosing with intention where your mind will go. Every day you are bombarded with endless opportunities to drift away from your vision. Notifications, conversations, endless streams of information all compete for your attention. And every time you give in, you pay with your most precious resource, time. Focus demands you ask yourself constantly, does this serve my vision or does it steal from it? When you answer honestly, you realize how much of your life has been consumed by things that never move you forward. The power of 21 days lies in reclaiming your attention and investing it where it matters most. Psychologists understand focus as selective attention, the ability to tune out what is irrelevant and lock in on what is essential. When you strengthen this ability, you begin to experience flow, the state where distractions fade, time disappears, and your actions feel effortless. Flow is where breakthroughs are born, but flow cannot exist without focus, and focus cannot exist without discipline. These three forces work together to create momentum so powerful it feels unstoppable. Focus is also about saying no. Every yes carries a hidden cost. And when you say yes to distractions, you say no to progress. This is why many people never achieve the transformation they dream of. They spread themselves thin, chasing too much, accomplishing too little. In 21 days, you must protect your focus like your life depends on it. Because in truth, the life you desire does depend on it. You cannot build the future you want if your present is hijacked by distractions. The beauty of focus is that it grows stronger the more you practice it. At first, it feels difficult to resist temptations, the urge to check your phone, the pull of entertainment, the comfort of familiar habits. All of these fight for your attention. But each time you resist, each time you bring your mind back to your vision, you strengthen your mental muscles. Over time, focus becomes natural. What once felt like a battle becomes your default state of mind. Imagine the clarity of living each day with undivided focus. Imagine how much progress you could make if every ounce of your energy was aimed at the goals that truly mattered. Imagine the pride of knowing you no longer waste your days, but use them with purpose. This is not a distant dream. This is what happens when you decide your attention is too valuable to waste. 21 days of disciplined focus will show you what you are truly capable of. And when you experience that kind of progress, when you see how much further you can go in such a short time by cutting away distractions, you will never want to go back. You will understand that success is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters with unwavering attention. Focus is how you turn energy into achievement and achievement into transformation. When you protect your focus, you protect your future. Consistency is the silent force that turns fleeting effort into lasting transformation. Anyone can push hard for a day or even a week, but real power is found in showing up again and again, especially when the excitement fades and the process feels ordinary. Consistency is not about grand gestures. It is about stacking small victories until they form an unshakable foundation. It is the steady rhythm of commitment that rewrites your identity and proves to yourself that you are someone who follows through. The human brain thrives on patterns. Every repeated action strengthens neural pathways, making the behavior easier and more natural over time. This is why consistency is so powerful. It doesn't just produce results, it reshapes who you are. Each day you act in alignment with your vision. You send a message to your subconscious. This is who I am now. Over time, doubt fades because evidence of your transformation grows stronger. You no longer rely on motivation alone because consistency builds momentum, and momentum carries you forward even when motivation feels weak. Yet the temptation to break consistency is always present. The mind whispers that missing one day won't matter, that skipping one step won't change anything. But it does matter. Every skipped action is more than a lost opportunity. It is a message to yourself that your vision is negotiable. Consistency requires you to silence that voice and remember that each day counts, each choice adds weight, each action builds or breaks your future. When you protect your consistency, you protect your transformation. Consistency is also about learning to embrace the ordinary. Not every day will feel exciting. Some days will feel repetitive, some will feel challenging, some will feel like nothing is changing. But those are the days that matter most. The greatest growth happens not in moments of intensity, but in moments of quiet persistence. Champions are not built by bursts of effort, but by showing up with discipline, again and again, even when no one is watching. Your 21 days are your training ground for this mindset. Psychologists call this the power of automaticity, when repeated actions become habits that no longer demand conscious effort. In the beginning, consistency feels heavy, but with repetition, it becomes lighter, easier, more natural. What once required discipline becomes automatic, and what once felt impossible becomes your new standard. This is why 21 days can feel like a turning point. By choosing to remain consistent, you train your brain to accept your new behaviors as part of your identity. Picture the strength of waking up each morning with confidence, knowing you have built a track record of following through. Imagine the pride of looking back after 21 days and realizing you didn't just try, you showed up every single day. That pride is not just emotional, it is transformational. It becomes proof that you can trust yourself, and self-trust is the foundation of unstoppable growth. Consistency is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It is the quiet force that separates dreamers from doers, talkers from achievers, wishful thinkers from world changers. When you commit to consistency, you declare to yourself and the world that your future is not negotiable. And once you live with that conviction, transformation is not a question of if, it becomes a matter of when. Progress is the ultimate motivator, but too often people fail to recognize it because they are looking for giant leaps instead of small steps. Transformation is rarely dramatic in the moment. It unfolds quietly, day by day, in ways that are easy to overlook if you are not paying attention. Scale might not move overnight. Your skills might not skyrocket instantly. Your confidence might not double in a single week. But every repetition, every decision, every small act is building evidence that you are moving forward. When you learn to see progress in the little things, you give yourself the fuel to keep going when others quit. Psychologists call this the principle of reinforcement. The human brain craves feedback. It thrives on signals that what you are doing is working. Without that recognition, motivation fades. But when you intentionally notice your progress, when you celebrate even the smallest wins, your brain releases dopamine, rewarding the behavior and making you more likely to repeat it. This is how consistency becomes sustainable, not by waiting for massive breakthroughs, but by honoring each small step as proof of growth. Every day you follow through, you are building momentum. Every day you keep your promises, you are stacking victories. And momentum is a powerful force. It turns discipline from a struggle into a rhythm. It shifts effort from heavy to natural. The more progress you recognize, the easier it becomes to stay consistent, and the easier it becomes to stay consistent, the faster your progress grows. This cycle feeds itself, creating an upward spiral that can carry you far beyond your original goals. But progress is not only measured in external results, it is measured in the internal changes you feel, the way you think, the way you carry yourself, the way you handle challenges, these are signs of transformation often overlooked. Maybe you catch yourself choosing patience instead of frustration. Maybe you notice you resist distractions that once controlled you. Maybe you feel a deeper sense of control over your choices. These shifts are not small, they are monumental because they show that the change is not just happening around you, it is happening within you. Too many people quit because they measure progress only by outcomes they can see. They want instant results, and when they don't appear, they assume nothing is working. But real transformation is like building strength. At first, the change is invisible, hidden beneath the surface, but the effort is never wasted. It is preparing you for the visible breakthrough that comes later. If you quit too soon, you never allow the unseen work to reveal itself. Progress is always happening, even when it feels slow. Imagine how powerful you will feel when you can look back and know you never gave up, not because results came instantly, but because you trusted the process. That trust is what separates those who succeed from those who fall back into old patterns. Every day you stay committed, you are proving to yourself that progress is happening, whether you see it or not. When you learn to recognize progress, to celebrate it, and to trust it, you unlock unstoppable momentum. You no longer chase quick fixes or temporary highs. You become grounded, patient, and powerful. Progress, no matter how small, is evidence that you are moving forward. And when forward is the direction you choose every day for 21 days, there is no limit to how far you can go. Obstacles will appear the moment you commit to change, not because the universe is against you, but because growth demands resistance. Just like muscles grow stronger when pushed against weight, your character grows stronger when pushed against challenge. The presence of obstacles is not a sign you are failing. It is proof you are moving. The only people who never face resistance are those who are standing still. If you feel the weight pressing against you, it means you are on the path of progress. The mind often reacts to obstacles with fear, frustration, or doubt. It whispers that you should turn back, that it's too hard, that maybe this path is not for you. But here is the truth. The obstacle is not in the way. The obstacle is the way. Each barrier is an opportunity to practice resilience, to sharpen focus, and to deepen belief in yourself. What blocks you today is shaping you into the person who can handle tomorrow. Without the obstacle, there is no growth. Without the challenge, there is no transformation. Psychology calls this process stress adaptation. When you expose yourself to difficulty and respond with persistence, your mind and body adapt. You become stronger, more capable, more resilient. Quitting, on the other hand, teaches your brain that obstacles are signals to stop, reinforcing weakness and hesitation. Every time you push through, you train your mind to see challenges not as threats, but as stepping stones. And once you learn to see them this way, nothing can intimidate you again. Obstacles also reveal how badly you want your vision. Anyone can stay committed when it's easy. True transformation is tested in the moments when it feels difficult, inconvenient, or uncertain. These moments ask you a simple question: are you serious or are you pretending? If your vision matters, if your future is worth fighting for, then you cannot back down. You must look at the obstacle and declare that it will not break you, it will build you. The power of your 21 days lies not in avoiding obstacles, but in embracing them. Each time you overcome resistance, you strengthen your identity as someone who does not quit. Each time you refuse to surrender, you stack evidence that you are capable of more than you thought. This is how transformation happens, not by gliding through an easy path, but by proving to yourself again and again that you can keep going no matter what stands in the way. Imagine the pride of looking back at these 21 days and realizing you didn't give up when it got hard. Imagine carrying the unshakable confidence that comes from facing resistance and rising above it. That confidence is worth more than any temporary comfort you would have gained by quitting. The obstacle you conquer today becomes the strength you carry tomorrow. So when you feel the weight pressing on you, remember it is shaping you. When you face resistance, remember it is refining you. And when you stand before obstacles, remember they are not there to stop you. They are there to reveal the unstoppable force already within you. Challenges do not take you off the path. They are the path. And every time you walk through them, you prove that nothing can stand between you and your transformation. Growth requires more than pushing harder. It requires aligning your environment with your vision. You cannot expect to rise if you surround yourself with weights that drag you down. Your surroundings, your habits, and the people in your life either reinforce your transformation or sabotage it. The truth is simple. Willpower alone is not enough. You must design your life so that success becomes the natural outcome, not the uphill battle. Look around at the spaces you spend time in. Are they filled with distractions or with reminders of your goals? A cluttered environment creates a cluttered mind. A chaotic space breeds chaotic focus. But when you intentionally shape your surroundings, you give your mind room to breathe, room to create, room to stay aligned with your commitment. Small changes, removing temptations, placing visible reminders of your goals, surrounding yourself with uplifting energy, send powerful signals to your brain. They say, this is who I am now, this is the path I choose. But environment is more than physical. It is emotional and social as well. The people you allow close to you influence the way you think, the standards you hold, and the energy you carry. If you are surrounded by voices of doubt, negativity, or complacency, it becomes harder to believe in your vision. But when you surround yourself with voices that uplift, challenge, and inspire you, your commitment strengthens. You rise to the level of those you walk with. Choose carefully. Protect your environment like your transformation depends on it, because it does. Psychologists describe this as the principle of social influence. Humans adapt to the energy of their group. We mirror behaviors, absorb beliefs, and reflect the expectations placed upon us. This can work against you or for you. When your environment reinforces weakness, you slip backward without realizing it. But when your environment reinforces strength, discipline, and growth, you accelerate forward with far less resistance. This is why creating an environment of success is not optional. It is essential. There is also the internal environment to consider. The conversations you have with yourself every day shape the reality you live in. If your self-talk is filled with criticism, doubt, and fear, you build an inner environment that poisons your progress. But if your self-talk is filled with encouragement, determination, and belief, you create an inner world that sustains your growth no matter what happens around you. Your outer environment can guide you, but your inner environment decides whether you keep moving when challenges hit. Imagine building an environment so aligned with your vision that failure becomes difficult. Imagine waking up in a space that reminds you of your goals, spending your days with people who expect your best, and fueling your mind with thoughts that strengthen your resolve. In such an environment, transformation is not a fight. It is the natural result of the world you have chosen to create. Your 21-day commitment is the perfect opportunity to reset your environment, remove what drags you down, embrace what lifts you up, shape your surroundings so they serve your future, not your past. When your environment supports your discipline, your focus, and your energy, success is no longer just possible, it becomes inevitable. The path becomes lighter, your vision becomes clear, and your growth becomes unstoppable. Accountability is the force that keeps promises alive when discipline alone begins to waver. It is easy to let yourself down in silence, to break commitments when no one is watching, to hide behind excuses that only you can hear. But when you create accountability, you shine a light on those excuses and remove the option of hiding. Accountability is not about pressure. It is about power. It is about creating a structure that ensures you rise to the standard you have set for yourself. When you declare your vision out loud, when you share your goals with someone you trust, you transform them from private wishes into public commitments. The human mind is wired to avoid cognitive dissonance, the discomfort of acting out of alignment with what we claim to value. By voicing your goals, you make them real, and in doing so, you create a powerful psychological drive to stay consistent. You no longer want to be the person who talks without acting. You want to be the person whose actions match their words. But accountability is not only external, it is also internal. True accountability is learning to hold yourself to the highest standard, even when no one else is looking. It is about building an internal contract with yourself that cannot be broken without consequence. Every time you follow through, you reinforce self-respect. Every time you abandon a promise, you weaken it. The question becomes simple. Do you want to live as someone you trust or someone you doubt? Internal accountability demands honesty, discipline, and courage, but the reward is unshakable self-belief. External accountability can act as a powerful amplifier. Surround yourself with people who demand your best, who remind you of your vision when you drift, who call out your excuses when you try to shrink back. Not people who shame you, but people who remind you of your strength. This is why communities, mentors, and partners can accelerate growth. They create a mirror that reflects both your progress and your potential. They remind you that you are not walking this path alone. Psychologists call this the power of social commitment. When you declare an intention to others, your likelihood of following through increases dramatically. It is not weakness to lean on accountability. It is wisdom. It is choosing to use every tool available to ensure your success. Willpower is fragile, but accountability builds a system that catches you when willpower runs thin. Imagine waking up each day knowing you are not only responsible to yourself, but also to a greater standard you have chosen to uphold. Imagine the pride of following through, not because someone forced you, but because you created structures that empowered you to rise. Accountability transforms effort into identity. Because each day you uphold your commitments, you prove to yourself that you are someone who can be trusted to deliver. Your 21 days are not just about building habits. They are about building trust in yourself, trust in your word, trust in your capacity to follow through. Accountability ensures that trust becomes unbreakable. And when you reach the point where you know without doubt that you will do what you say you will do, you unlock a level of confidence and power that nothing can take away. That is the gift accountability offers, and it is one of the most powerful forces in transformation. Momentum is one of the most underestimated forces in transformation. At the beginning, progress feels slow. Every step feels heavy, every choice feels deliberate, and every action demands effort. But momentum changes everything. Momentum turns discipline into rhythm, effort into flow, and struggle into power. Once it builds, it carries you forward with a strength far greater than what you felt at the start. The secret is to create momentum early and guard it fiercely, because once it's alive, it becomes one of your greatest allies. Momentum is born from consistency. Every time you show up, you add a drop of energy into the current that is pulling you forward. The drops may seem small, almost invisible, but they collect, they grow, they merge into a force that cannot be ignored. This is why even the smallest actions matter. They are not insignificant, they are fuel. A single day of action may not transform your life, but 21 days of stacking actions without breaking the chain creates unstoppable momentum. Psychology teaches us that the brain loves patterns. The more often you repeat a behavior, the more natural it feels, and the more likely it is to continue. This is the principle of habit formation, but it is also the foundation of momentum. Each repetition strengthens the neural pathways in your brain, making it easier to choose action over hesitation, commitment over distraction. Momentum is not magic, it is the science of repetition, magnified by the energy of progress. When you create momentum, you also shift your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone trying to change, and you start seeing yourself as someone who already embodies the change. This is a crucial difference. Identity drives behavior. If you believe you are disciplined, you act disciplined. If you believe you are strong, you act strong. Momentum accelerates this identity shift by giving you evidence every single day that you are no longer who you used to be. You are building a new version of yourself step by step, habit by habit. But momentum is fragile in the beginning. One slip can feel like a collapse. One missed day can feel like a setback. The key is not to chase perfection, but to protect progress. Missing once is human. Getting back on track immediately is what keeps momentum alive. Momentum thrives when you move forward despite imperfection. Progress, not perfection, is what creates transformation. Picture a wheel that is difficult to push at first, but once it's rolling, it becomes effortless to keep it moving. That is your life when momentum is on your side. Each day of the 21 days is another push, another turn, another surge of energy into the wheel. At first, it demands effort, but soon it begins to move with you, and the energy you once struggled to find now seems to find you. That is the point where transformation shifts from hard work to natural flow. Momentum is the bridge between effort and ease, between trying and becoming. Protect it, feed it, build it day after day. Because once you have momentum, nothing can stop you. It will carry you through doubts, through challenges, through resistance, and it will deliver you into a version of yourself that no longer needs to fight for change, because change has already taken root. Discipline without energy is fragile. You can force yourself forward for a time, but without learning to renew your energy, burnout becomes inevitable. Energy is the fuel of transformation, and unlike willpower, it can be cultivated, managed, and multiplied. When you understand how to generate and protect your energy, you no longer struggle to act. You feel pulled to act because your body, mind, and spirit are aligned with your vision. Your energy is not fixed. It rises and falls based on the choices you make every single day. The food you eat, the rest you allow yourself, the movement you give your body, and the thoughts you entertain all feed into your energy system. Every choice is a deposit or a withdrawal. Over time, those deposits and withdrawals shape the strength with which you meet life. High energy is not an accident. It is the result of intentional living. Psychologists have long studied the connection between physical state and mental state. When your body is depleted, your mind struggles to focus, your emotions lean negative, and your motivation collapses. But when your body is charged, your mind becomes sharper, your outlook becomes brighter, and your discipline feels effortless. This is why protecting your energy is as important as protecting your habits. Without energy, habits feel like a burden. With energy, they become natural expressions of your vitality. Renewing energy begins with recovery. Rest is not laziness, it is strategy. Just as muscles grow during rest, your discipline strengthens when you allow yourself to recharge. Sleep, deep breathing, moments of silence, even short pauses during your day are not wasted time. They are the very practices that allow you to keep going. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot build transformation from exhaustion. Energy is also shaped by focus. What you give attention to expands in your mind, and where attention goes, energy flows. If you focus on limitations, you drain your energy. If you focus on possibilities, you generate it. Gratitude, vision, and belief are not just positive feelings. They are energy generators. They elevate your state, strengthen your resolve, and infuse your actions with meaning. This is why keeping your vision alive in your mind is essential. It is not just motivation, it is fuel. Movement is another amplifier. Energy is not created by sitting still, it is activated by motion. When you move your body, even in small ways, you release stress, increase circulation, and awaken mental clarity. This is why action breeds more action. A body in motion creates a mind in motion, and together they create unstoppable forward momentum. Imagine what happens when you combine all of these, fueling your body with care, renewing through rest, focusing on vision, and activating energy through movement. You create a foundation where discipline is not a constant fight. Instead, it becomes the natural response of a body and mind that are alive, vibrant, and aligned. Your 21 days are not just about pushing harder. They are about learning to manage energy like the precious resource it is. Protect it, renew it, amplify it, and direct it toward your vision. When your energy rises, your life rises with it. And with that energy, the version of you that once felt distant begins to feel inevitable because you finally have the power to carry your transformation all the way through. Clarity is the compass that directs all your energy and momentum. Without it, even the strongest effort can feel scattered, aimless, and unfulfilling. Clarity gives meaning to discipline, direction to habits, and purpose to every sacrifice you make. When you are clear about what you want and why you want it, obstacles shrink in comparison to the vision that pulls you forward. The human mind is wired to seek certainty, and when you provide it with a clear destination, it unlocks determination that cannot be shaken. Clarity begins with vision. Vision is not a vague hope, but a vivid picture of who you want to become and the life you want to create. The brain responds powerfully to imagery, and the clearer you make that picture, the more your subconscious mind begins to move toward it. When you visualize with intensity, seeing, feeling, and believing in your future self, you activate neural pathways that prime your mind for action. This is not fantasy, it is neuroscience. What you rehearse in your mind, your body, and behaviors prepare to manifest. But clarity is not just about the future. It is about values. What matters most to you? What principles do you refuse to compromise on? When your actions align with your values, you feel grounded, authentic, and strong. When they don't, you feel conflicted, scattered, and weak. Your 21 days of transformation are not just about building habits. They are about aligning those habits with the values that define you at your core. This alignment creates a powerful emotional drive because you are no longer chasing someone else's definition of success. You are building your own. Psychologists call this intrinsic motivation, the fuel that comes from within rather than from external rewards. Intrinsic motivation is far more powerful and sustainable because it is rooted in meaning, not pressure. When your clarity is tied to who you truly are and what you truly value, every step feels purposeful, every struggle feels worthwhile, and every win feels deeply fulfilling. Clarity also simplifies decision-making. Life constantly presents distractions, temptations, and detours. Without clarity, each choice becomes a draining debate. But when you know where you're going and why, the noise fades. Decisions become easier because anything that doesn't align with your vision is simply not an option. This reduces stress, saves energy, and strengthens focus, allowing you to move with calm confidence instead of constant hesitation. To cultivate clarity, you must continually remind yourself of your vision and your values. Write them down, speak them out, reflect on them daily. The more you repeat and reinforce them, the more real they become in your mind. Clarity is not a one-time realization. It is a daily practice of choosing your direction and reaffirming your purpose. Imagine living each day with the unshakable certainty of knowing exactly where you are going, why it matters, and who you are becoming. Imagine the confidence, the peace, and the unstoppable drive that comes from that level of clarity. That is what turns discipline into joy and persistence into power. With clarity, your 21 days transform from a challenge into a mission. Every action, no matter how small, becomes part of something greater. You are not just building habits. You are building the life you have chosen with purpose. And when clarity leads the way, nothing can pull you off the path you have committed to walk. Every great transformation demands resilience because the path of growth is never without resistance. No matter how strong your clarity, no matter how consistent your habits, there will be days when the weight feels heavy, when progress feels invisible, when your mind whispers that it would be easier to quit. Resilience is what silences that whisper. Resilience is the armor that protects your vision when storms arrive, the inner strength that allows you to bend without breaking, to stumble without falling apart, to struggle without surrendering. Resilience is not about never feeling tired or discouraged. It is about refusing to let those feelings define your actions. Psychologists describe resilience as the ability to recover quickly from setbacks and adapt positively to challenges. But at its core, resilience is the decision to continue. It is the refusal to let temporary pain dictate permanent choices. It is the unwavering belief that setbacks are not signals of failure, but stepping stones of growth. The truth is, struggle is part of the process. Growth never happens in complete comfort. Muscles strengthened by tearing and repairing, minds sharpened through challenge, spirits deepened through trials. Resilience is born in these very moments, in the times when it would be easier to give up, but you don't. Every challenge you endure, every obstacle you face, every test you overcome becomes evidence that you are stronger than you once believed. Your 21 days will test you. There will be mornings you don't want to rise, nights you don't want to stay disciplined, moments when progress feels painfully slow, but resilience whispers, keep going. Resilience reminds you that the discomfort of today is the seed of strength for tomorrow. It turns struggle into proof, pain into power, resistance into resilience. Resilience also transforms the way you view failure. Instead of seeing failure as the end, resilience reframes it as feedback. It asks, what can I learn? How can I adapt? How can I use this moment to grow stronger? With this mindset, failure loses its power to stop you. It becomes fuel. It becomes wisdom. It becomes another building block of the identity you are creating. Science shows that resilient people share one common trait. They focus on what they can control. They do not waste energy on circumstances beyond their reach. They channel their strength into actions, choices, and attitudes that are within their power. And in doing so, they rise above situations that would break others. This is why resilience is not a gift. It is a practice. Every time you choose to act despite difficulty, you strengthen it. Every time you rise after falling, you reinforce it. Imagine the strength of knowing that no matter what comes, you will not break. Imagine facing challenges with the certainty that you can endure, adapt, and continue moving forward. That is resilience. It doesn't eliminate pain, but it transforms your relationship with it. Pain becomes temporary, struggle becomes meaningful, growth becomes inevitable. Resilience ensures that your 21 days are not derailed by difficulty, but strengthened by it. Each obstacle becomes another reason to rise. Each challenge becomes another layer of power. And when you emerge on the other side, you will carry not just the habits you've built, but the unshakable resilience that makes those habits last for life.